tagging off of Tune In Tuesday, which was on Wednesday, I'm going to be using the Beautifully Happy Celebration set. This is a $100 level set, and it is a two-step Stampin' Set that is also a distinctive set. What makes it distinctive? If you can see, let me bring this a little bit closer. In the flowers or leaves, you can see a variation of depth of color. It's a little darker in towards here, a little lighter towards the edges. That's what makes it distinctive. Just gives it a little bit more of a realistic look. Also some great little greetings in here. Kindness matters. Thank you. You're easy to love. Sending happy thoughts for a very happy birthday and for a feeling better kind of day. That's the one that we used on Tune In Wednesday. If you did not catch that, you can just go back and you can find it on my Facebook page, or you can search for it on my YouTube channel. But let's get started. We're going to make a very clean and simple card, and I'm going to show you how to step it up a bit. So the first thing we're going to do is start with a piece of thick basic white. When I am making just a white-based card, I always use the thick. It feels more substantial, feels more like you didn't take the cheapest way out. I'm going to bring in the outline stamp from this set and ink it up in Tuxedo Memento Black. Now you don't want to use StazOn when you are using photopolymer stamps. They don't really get along. Let's see. I'm going to just put this a little bit off to the left. All right, so there we go. And now we're going to color it. And because this is a two-step Stampin' Set, I don't really have to color it. I just have to stamp it. Let's go ahead and I'm going to bring in Pale Papaya, which is part of the 2021 to 2023 In Color collection. These colors will be going out when the new catalog comes in May. Now, this is pretty easy to line up. It will be difficult for you to see on camera, and it's probably going to be a little bit difficult for me to do on camera because my camera's in the way. But it lines up nicely. I just sort of hover over it until all the images align, and that did not align very well because, again, my camera is in the way. I've got some completed ones where I can show you that it does really line up very easily. I'm going to try not to hover so far away for this next one when I do the leaves. But even if you are not exactly on, I promise you this is going to look great. So pardon my head if I get my head in the way. There we go. And then that's perfect. So I should just have tried not to hover straight over it before, I guess. These ones up here, there's a stamp for that as well. And I always remember this little one goes right over here. I can't do this. Sorry, I'm going to get my head in the way. I'm going to pull this back. It is too hard to do looking around the camera. But if you go for a watercolored look, this works. It's not going to be a real issue to the recipient, I don't think. They're going to think you intended this. And then we're going to just put a little yellow Daffodil Delight in the center. So I'm using, sorry, I don't think I remember to tell you, this is Granny Apple Green. If you want a brighter springy green, then I might suggest going with Parakeet Party from the 2022 to 2024 In Color family. But here we have this card, and now we need a sentiment. I'm going to bring in Kindness Matters, and I want some contrast, so I will do that in black as well. So this will be a nice little thank you card. And so a quick and simple card. Now, how can you dress this up? Well, you could bring in some gems. For instance, these are the new iridescent pastel gems. And this one over here especially goes really nicely with the, what was the color? Pale papaya. I do think it is the pale papaya ones. All right, I take your pick tool. I'm not going to use it with the putty end because my putty's out. Let's just put a couple of these big ones in here. Yeah, we'll put a little one. And maybe put one more big one down here. And so that dresses it up. If you want to dress it up a little bit more, you could bring in some of the Essentials twine, the baker's twine. I'm going to get, let's see, we could get the black out, or we could get the white out. Let's see what the white looks like. Let me just tie a little bow. There we go. And we could just add that right down there. Yeah, I think that works. Let's see what a black one would look like, just for the fun of it. I like the contrast. But let's see. So this is how my process goes. I just kind of, let's see. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm not cutting my black one off the spool yet. Maybe I'll use it. Probably should have thought that up earlier. So I don't like the black next to the Kindness Matters over here. It's a little too heavy. So we're not going to use that one. We'll just use the white. And we will get out a mini glue dot. Let's see. So let me show you this. I've just taken a little piece of the Essential Baker's twine. I think this is the crumb cake one. It's one I don't use a whole lot. And I've tied it around here, and that just keeps this thing from going everywhere. And I can tear it off once I'm done with this excess. Just makes it a little bit easier. And I'm going to roll this up a little bit using my take your pick tool. You can use your finger too. But if you roll it up on itself a bit, then it makes it skinnier. Let's see, where am I going to put this? I think right down here. It makes it skinnier. And it'll hide a little bit more. So there you go. A pretty quick and simple card, right? Now, what else can you do to dress this up? All right, so we're going to set this aside for a second. I've gone ahead and I've stamped that again. And you can see I lined it up perfectly, well, pretty close to perfectly, because I was right over it. I'm going to bring in blender pens, and I haven't used my blender pens in a while with you guys. I'm going to show you what a difference it makes. You're not going to be able to tell much when I watercolor here, I don't think, because it's a pretty light color. But this is just blending it in a little bit, and it tends to make the color a little bit more vibrant. Just coloring it in, right? Now I'm going to clean this on a piece of scrap. If I have a piece of scrap. All right. Now I think you'll really be able to see it though when I start to do the leaves. And it gives it a little bit of a softer look. I think you can see right in there. Let me pull it a little closer. You see how this leaf is now a little bit more vibrant than this leaf? That was because I've colored that. So there's a bit of a texture on these stamps, designed that way. But what we're really doing is blending away some of that texture. Just makes that color pop a little bit more. And the shading's already been done for you with those distinctive stamp sets. So you just do this and you are an artist. That's pretty quick and easy too. Now, another nice thing about the blender pen, you can go back in here, pick up a little ink from your pad, and color that stem that might have been driving you crazy. I think I forgot to color these up here, so let's go ahead and just blend those in as well. And so this is where if you're off a little bit in your stamping, you can kind of blend it back into place. Nobody's the wiser. I'm really gonna just clean that on there. All right, so now we are ready to take another card base. Let's see, do I have a card base? Yes, I do. And we'll pop that right back up on there. So having a layer on a layer is another way to dress up your card. And I would put this on with dimensionals. I'm not going to right here because I do have some other things to do. Well, I guess I could. I'll just have to cut another card base, I think. So there we go. Just like we did before. And get my pieces out. So you could also roll it up with scissors. Just want it to kind of fade into the background, be little. All right, and then we can put some gems on. And maybe you just do one gem. I don't like those there though. I think I can't just do one. I can't. Let's just put them all on. Kind of wish they were a medium sized in these gems. All right, and so this will be what it looks like when you put on that card base. Oh yeah, I said I was gonna do it anyways, right? Yeah. So you see this card popping up? Go ahead, take your bone folder, and it'll help it lay down a little bit better. Of course, the envelope will help it lay down a little bit better as well. Let's go ahead and take some dimensionals. Dimensionals are another way to kick up your design a little bit. All right, let's take that out of the way. And so there you have another version. Looks pretty similar, just now remember this one did start much simpler before I added the gems and everything and the ribbon, but see how adding this layer just makes it a little bit of a more of a finished touch. And I wouldn't say that this flower is better looking, it's just different looking, and you can see that it is a little bit more vibrant. Same inks, but those greens really come out when you blend them in. All right, and then I have one more way that you can really take it up a notch. let's see, we're going to go ahead and not look at this one. This is the one I blended. But let's go ahead and take our big stamp again. We're going to bring that in. Let me get my twine out of the way. Got all my stamps mounted on blocks so I don't have to waste any time cleaning and switching blocks. That's the beauty of having the complete block set. All right, let's go ahead. You can probably guess what I'm going to do on this one that really takes it up a notch. So instead of using the two-step part, instead of using that second step, I'm going to bring in my blends and I'm going to color. So this is the Pale Papaya, and I've chosen a different coordinating color. This is Calypso Coral. And here I have the same green, Granny Apple Green, and this is Daffodil Delight. Might as well get that one out of the way. We know that one goes right there in the center. All right. So now when I'm coloring here, and I'm not going to color the whole thing for the sake of time, I'm going to just show you a couple parts. So I'm going to start by layering down a base of the light Pale Papaya. You don't have to get super fancy with it. Okay, I'm going to come in now with the darker Pale Papaya and go mostly to the edge. I'm going to come back in. I'm going to come in with a bullet tip and just sort of blend those edges away. And you want to work while the ink is still a little bit wet. So this is, and you'll notice that, I don't know if you can notice it or not on camera, but it is spreading a little bit. And see how much softer those edges are now? And we're just going to keep layering like that. So I'm going to bring in this one, and this one is actually, that tip is getting a little wimpy. I'm going to bring this in a little bit. It's not adding a ton of color. Wait till you see this one though. This one will add a little bit more. And notice I'm not being super careful here. I'm going to come back in with the dark Pale Papaya and blend that in some more. Now, yes, I could use the darker, the light Calypso Coral to blend too. I probably will. Let me bring that back in. Just adding lots of color. The more layer you put, the more color you put on, the richer the tones are going to be. And they will sit and soften as you keep blending. I have gone ahead and finished this. Let me just do a green for you. Let me do a green for you. So if I'm going to do a leaf, let's take this leaf because he's not too big. I'm going to lay down this Granny Apple Green, and I don't go super close to the edges because this ink does spread a bit. And I'm going to add some darker Granny Apple Green around the base of this leaf. I'm going to kind of come up on these veins. And a couple other areas maybe. I'm going to go back in and blend. If you like to, some of you are thinking, that's too much work for me. Yeah, it is more work, but remember, we are stepping up this card a bit. And there's something about coloring, some of you know, coloring can be pretty therapeutic. Let me go ahead and bring this in. So this is my finished one. And yes, I have fussy cut, and I did not want to do that on camera because this is pretty intricate. And so this would have to go to a really special person for me to take all this time to do this one card. Let's go ahead and I need to cut another base of thick basic white. So I'm going to do that off camera, just so I don't have to move the stuff in the camera shot. And I've got my base right here. Fold it, crease it with my bone folder. So if this is going to be an extra special card, I went ahead and I used my Brick Wall 3D embossing folder and made this layer. So we're going to put that on with dimensionals. Oops, those are the mini dimensionals. I don't want the mini dimensionals. My big ones got away from me somewhere here. Oh, there they are. All right. One of the things that I did not do ahead of time, though, was to emboss a greeting, because again, we're going to make this one way over the top. So this is going to go on here, and it's going to go on dimensionals as well. So I will bring in some of my little mini dimensionals, because I have some pretty small areas. Like this little flower up here is kind of tiny. And this one over here is a little guy. I'm not sure if I can get one right up here. No, I don't think so. I could cut this in half, but I am not going to do that. I'm going to use my big ones for some of these other spots. All right. That's probably pretty good. And we're going to put that right there. So far, I'm doing this in one take, and I don't think I'm going to have to edit it other than to put some of my opening and closing stuff on there. So look at how that just kind of comes right up there. So pretty, huh? And because I've used a darker one, let's go ahead and use the darker gems here, because I think these are Calypso Coral. Let's... Oh, wait, before I do that, let's go ahead and put on a couple of the other pieces. I'm going to quickly take a sentiment and emboss it. Should we still stick with Kindness Matters? Kind of rather use this for a birthday card, but you know what? Kindness does matter, and I think I'm going to have this ready to go for people that do something kind. I'm going to get out my embossing toolkit. All right, see, I keep my white right in there just because, you know me, I like the white embossing. And I like it best on black cardstock. So let's get this piece out here. And I need to find out what size to use here. So let me bring this in. And if I do a quick measurement, it's about 1 inch wide, maybe ½ inch tall, a little bit more. So I'm gonna go 1.5 inches long, I guess. We'll see how this works. And I'm gonna go 3/4 inch wide. Trying not to touch it, but it's very difficult to do when you've got small pieces. So that's why my embossing buddy is so important. And we're gonna just wipe that all over there. Remove some of the static and the oils from my fingers. Let's use my Versamark pad. I think that's gonna be good. I'm gonna go ahead and use my tweezers from the toolkit on here, just because I don't want to burn my fingers. I was just about ready to heat that, but I'm missing something. I'm missing the powder. Oh my goodness. So I have a conference as you're watching this. Well, I had a conference during the day as you're watching this. So I decided to shoot this in advance also because I didn't know, are we going to lose power later? I'm filming this on Thursday morning, early Thursday morning. I didn't know if we're going to lose power when it gets windy later today like it's supposed to. The trees have been heavily damaged in Wells, and so even though we have our power back right now, I'm not so sure it's going to stay that way. So thought I'd go ahead and do this in advance, just in case. All right, now we'll bring in our heat tool, and it's unplugged. So we'll plug it in. Let it heat up for just a second, and I'm going to go ahead and emboss. And when you see this turn shiny, you know that area is done. And what's nice about the white on the black is it's not only shiny, but you can see that bright white pops right out there. Now you might notice a few glitter specks. This embossing jar that I was using is very old. You can tell by the blue logo. So it has been corrupted by back when we used to have all sorts of glittery stuff too. But it is fine, and obviously it lasts a long time. All right, so now we have this, and I think we're gonna put that right here. So this leaf, this side is popped up on a dimensional. This side will need one. We'll go ahead and get my dimensionals back out. We'll put that right on that right-hand side here. And, oh, we forgot our twine, right? I'm going to not tie a bow this time. I'm going to do one of those little zigzaggy things that Stampin' Up! Seems to always do. It's just a little S. S is for Sharon. And you can hold that down with a glue dot if you want to, or some other kind of adhesive. I probably should, right? Because I don't want it to move. I'm going to go ahead and put some regular adhesive on this side. And that's where that's going to attach. And let me just adjust it a little bit. Almost looks like a bow, but it's not. There we go. Yep. And then we need some gems. Let's go ahead and bring in these Calypso Coral gems. I'm going to pretty much place them in the same spots as with the other one. Maybe a little bit down here. Now look at that one. Isn't that beautiful? If I do say so myself. I got this idea from Angela Merritt's Reed. This is part of the Global Design Project. And she's a demonstrator in New Zealand. But I saw this beautiful one, which is right up my alley. Tammy Wilson does stuff like this all the time. Like, this is my style, even though it's a lot of work. But I wanted to start with something simple. And again, the simplest card would be without this twine or these gems. And then I wanted to show you how you could add a little bit just by adding maybe a layer or blending for a little bit of a different look there. And then this one. So obviously this one is much more vibrant in color, but they're the same layout, just slightly different. So I hope you have enjoyed this Friday Night Live. And remember, we are still in celebration. It goes through the end of February. If you would like to place an order, you'll be able to find the link in the comments of this or the description of this video, and it has the host code already populated. For those of you who place an order of $35 or more by Sunday, January 29th, this is the host code that's linked in the description, I will send you a class kit for that loaded envelope that I did on Wednesday for my Tune In Tuesday, if that's not very confusing. So if you have any questions, you can always shoot me an email at stamperhood@gmail.com. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great weekend.